Exactly. And then the Heritage Foundation actually keeps a record of convictions of non-citizens voting. Since 1982, they have it's not 44, it's less than 100 cases of people charged with voting illegally.
And convicted.
Welcome back to Top Debate Commentary, your daily home for watching smart people in expensive suits argue over words that require a law degree to understand. Today, we are breaking down an explosive CNN panel reaction to a fresh Supreme Court ruling on mail-in voting executive orders. If you spent your morning reading outrageous headlines and panicking, relax. We have Elie Honig, John Berman, and Abby Phillip here to translate high court legalese into actual English. The legal drama is high, the panel takes are boiling, and by the end of this video, you will realize that half of political Twitter reacts to rulings they did not even read. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and let's dive into the legal circus.
What is next for mail-in voting? This after the Supreme Court lifted a block on the president's plans aimed to limit mail-in voting. The court did not say that what he wants to do is inherently legal. This is a procedural win for the president, but might be temporary. The president wants to use the post office to control who does not get mail ballots. The court basically said states do not have the standing to block it yet because it's not clear how the order would work yet. The court's three liberals dissented. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson warned the ruling, quote, needlessly injects chaos and uncertainty into the upcoming midterm elections. With us now, CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig. Elie, clear something up for me, because I've seen some headlines over the last, 12 hours or so, which says the Supreme Court rules the president can restrict mail-in voting. Is that what happened?
No, John, this is the risk in only reading the headlines. So the executive order issued by the president back in March told DHS you are to come up with lists of eligible voters in each state, and then told the Postal Service you are only to deliver mail-in ballots to and from those addresses. Now, a group of 23 Democratic states plus D.C. challenged that. They said it's unconstitutional. We are the states. We get to run our own election under the Constitution. The Supreme Court did not decide the constitutionality or unconstitutionality of the order. What the Supreme Court said simply is this lawsuit at this point is premature. The states cannot show the kind of concrete, specific injury yet that they need to show to get into court. So this will continue, John. The ultimate merits remain unresolved. It's a win for Trump, but it's procedural and it's temporary.
So continue how, where, and when, Counselor?
Lots of lawsuits. So there actually are multiple lawsuits. There's the one by the states. There's a separate one by a group of women voters. Those are going to continue. The trick now is they do have to show that level of concrete, specific injury. The problem, according to the majority in the Supreme Court, is in order to get to these scenarios where there's some harm, you have to stack hypothetical upon hypothetical to come out to a conclusion that someone might be denied their right to vote, that the state's right to control the elections might be infringed on. We just don't know how that all is going to play out just yet. So at every procedural step here,
Let's kick things off with Section 1, where John Berman and CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig instantly drop a bucket of cold water on the internet's emergency meltdowns. Berman starts off asking the question on everybody's timeline. Did the Supreme Court just magically give the executive branch total control to restriction mail-in voting right before an election? And Elie Honig, looking like the only sane person in a sea of clickbait headlines, gives us the ultimate lesson in legal literacy. Stop just reading the headlines. Honig explains that the High Court didn't touch the actual constitutionality of the executive order. Instead, they handed down a temporary procedural ruling, saying the 23 states bringing the lawsuit brought it too early. In legal terms, that means come back when you actually have a bloody nose, not when someone just points a finger at you. It's classic Supreme Court dodgeball, and Honig breaks down the technicalities with precision while Berman holds down the anchor desk. A brilliant start to the breakdown, showing that procedural wins are not final victories.
Illegal to vote if you are not a citizen. It's already illegal to use the mail system in a fraudulent way, those things are already illegal. The Trump administration is trying to claim that there is such widespread fraud that this executive order is necessary. They put out a whole bunch of claims earlier this year, including that in Nevada, there were 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote in 4 states. And in Nevada, they said there were 15,000. Well, it turns out they can't prove that. It turns out that they've identified only 185 potential non-citizens in the state so far. So that's why people have a lot of skepticism about these claims that were made a few months ago, because they put out these massive numbers to try to make it seem way more common, and they have yet to back any of them up.
But that's
still not
I'm sorry.
With prosecutions, with proof, they haven't backed any of them.
That's a PR argument.
That's not a PR argument. It's not a PR argument.
That's not a PR argument. There are facts underneath this. Even those cases, they said they were on the rolls, but they didn't say that any of those people actually voted illegally.
Well, they also haven't even proven that those people are actually
right. So
non-citizens. None of that has been
exactly. And then the Heritage Foundation actually keeps a record of convictions of non-citizens voting. Since 1982, they have it's not 44, it's less than 100 cases of people charged with voting illegally.
And convicted.
And convicted. And that's 44 years. Right?
And convicted.
That's 44 years.
How much IRS invasion has there been?
44 years, less than 100. In those 44 years, there have been over 1.3 billion votes just for the president. That's not including state, local. That is not including Congress. That is not including off-year elections. That is just for the president. That is not a problem. The idea that people are arguing that this is a problem.
Moving on to the centerpiece of the whole video, where the panel goes from a calm legal study to absolute verbal warfare. Abby Phillip takes the wheel here, and this is where the debate completely explodes over non-citizen voting allegations. We watch as real data collides headfirst with political talking points. The panel brings out the ultimate mic drop statistic. According to the Conservative Heritage Foundation's own database, out of over 1.3 billion votes cast across 44 years, there were fewer than 100 cases of non-citizen voting convictions. You can literally watch the panelists' crosstalk escalate into a chaotic storm as folks try to defend sweeping restrictions based on a number that is statistically closer to getting struck by lightning twice. The visual friction in this segment is pure gold. Panelists talking over each other, hand gestures flying, and real-time fact-checking happening on live television. This is debate commentary at its finest.
Tell you this, there's no way in the world that the court would allow an executive order to override what's in the Constitution. The states have the power. And you talk about needing evidence and to back it up legally, you still have to show some kind of proof that this is happening, even for it to become an issue.
Counselor.
He's making this an issue.
Counselor.
That doesn't need to be
You're presenting
addressed.
facts that are not in evidence. We do not know if this regulation is going to do what you just described. There are things that
the description is that the federal government has to approve who the indivial states
they've already pulled back from that.
The other fact that's not in evidence is that there is no fraud.
Hold on, Horace. You're suggesting that the executive order, as it's written, they've backed away from parts of it, and so that should be sufficient. The executive order, as it's written, basically says the states or somebody. There's going to be a list. The Postal Service is going to determine whether people are on that list, and then they are going to approve or deny ballots from being sent or received through the mail system. That is the crux of the challenge.
And really, though, when we hit the zoom out, what does this do to voters? Does this instill trust?
Well, listen,
the court isn't reviewing the executive order.
Hold on.
The court is reviewing
Horace,
what
you keep
is the
fighting
USPS doing.
You keep fighting the last battle. We already established that the Supreme Court ruling doesn't address the merits of the case, but what Dante was talking about is the second iteration of this. Eventually, this will come to the merits.
It won't be about the executive order, is what I'm saying.
Eventually,
it will
Horace,
be about the implementing rules.
What you're saying is he created an executive order, but he's not going to have an executive order.
No, I'm not saying that at all. But
I am saying,
I don't know what you're saying.
I am saying that the USPS has already gone to the district court and said, notwithstanding this executive order, here are the things we're actually planning to do. And we have heard your complaints, and we have modified our plans accordingly.
Oh, okay. So the USPS has single-handedly modified.
In the final section, the discussion moves straight into a constitutional tug-of-war involving the United States Postal Service. The core issue here gets wild. Can an executive branch agency or the Postal Service alter state election delivery procedures without violating the Constitution? The panel locks horns over whether lower district courts have the right to issue nationwide injunctions or if executive agencies can unilaterally adjust election rules 70 days out from a national vote. Watching the commentators clash over the Purcell principle and administrative overreach shows just how messy election years get when federal directives clash with local administration. The friction here is palpable as everyone on set realizes the massive stakes involved for upcoming election cycles. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to Top Debate Commentary for more daily video analyses.